Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Kingdom of Dreams podcast, The Making of Stories. I'm your host, Jawad Mir. Today's guest is Taha Sadaqat, who served as a line producer on the Greatest Rivalry, India versus Pakistan Netflix series. It was a really fun-packed conversation about Taha's journey of how he got to be where he is and all the success that he has achieved, and he's still at it. And we talked about Shoaib Akhtar. We talked about the behind the scene making of the series in Pakistan since he was part of that. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Taha Sadaqat for the Greatest Rivalry, India versus Pakistan. I had a pleasure of speaking to Stuart Sugg, who directed the Greatest Rivalry, India versus Pakistan, a few days ago, and just to re-experiencing a lot of the cricket um, times from the mid 2000s, like when the series happened, was
Yeah.
I understand you were a big part of it. So tell me, what was your role on the series first, and before we get into deeper things.
So I basically produced the whole Pakistan shoot, which
Okay.
was obviously a big part of the whole thing if you've seen the
Yep,
documentary.
I have.
So from conducting the interviews, obviously because of language barriers Stuart had with a couple of cricketers, obviously Inzamam was obviously doing his interview in Urdu. Javed Bhai was doing his interview in Urdu. So I was actually conducting those interviews as well as putting up the whole shoot. I was the line producer. So
Hmm.
and the production head of the project here. So literally putting up the whole production, I was doing that as well as on the shoot. I was doing a lot of script work as well because wherever there was Urdu stuff required, so I would just help out Stuart with a lot of those things. So yeah, that was my main role. Get putting up a whole production and then coordinating with the talent and then shooting with them. You know, the equipment that was required, drones, cameras, lighting, everything. So just putting everything together according to Netflix's requirement, which are very strict about their requirements. They are pretty strict. So arranging all of that. So yeah, that was my role with the documentary.
Awesome. Was it the first time you were involved in a production like this, or any production?
No, actually, I have also co-produced a film with Ali Zafar called Tifa in Trouble,
Okay.
which was also on Netflix, but it was not a Netflix original. It was a theatrical release in Pakistan, and then it was sold to Netflix as well. So I had produced that. It was shot in Poland and Pakistan. So I was involved with a lot of work in that film as well. I produce a lot of commercials, so that obviously that's one aspect of my career. I do talent management, and then I have a PR company, and I also do productions. So TV commercials. We shoot a lot of stuff in Bangkok, Turkey, Dubai. So yeah.
Great stuff. And how is your involvement with the cricket world and Shoaib Akhtar and Inzamam and Miadad and all those people? Like, how did that sort of came about? If you are already in production, what's the bridge that connects you those two worlds?
I would still say that my forte is talent management. And to be very precise, I would say celebrity management because I've only worked with big stars in Pakistan. So I was managing Ali Zafar. That's when this is, we're talking about 2017-ish. I was already managing for about 3 years at that time. Around 2016, 2017, suddenly Bollywood completely closed for Pakistani talent, and in fact, nobody has been able to go back to India since then. October 2016 was the last time I went there. Before that, I was a very frequent visitor. So was Ali, and so was Shoaib, and so was Wasim Akram, and all these popular Pakistani celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so at that point, when India closed, that's when Ali Zafar decided to make a film. And being his manager at that time, he also offered me to get on as a producer, and that seemed something very interesting because I had done a couple of productions before in terms of commercials. So commercial is obviously 1 or 2 day work. Film is it has a massive scale, but I jumped in and it was amazing. I had also done internship on a Hollywood project before that, so I had some sort of production or knowledge in terms of movies as well.
Great. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Taha, in terms of your origin story. Like, how did this all start? Like, what inspired you to get into talent management slash production, whether it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago? What was the catalyst that changed everything for you to be where you are today?
I started in 2007. That's when I was still studying actually, and I was studying at Government College Lahore.
Mm,
It's a prestigious university which actually
mm-hmm,
has been used in the documentary as well. Shoaib Akhtar was and even in Zamam's interview was shot in Government College,
mm-hmm,
so that was obviously a kind of tribute to my alma mater as well that I shot there. So yeah, I was studying at Government College back then. I was doing my masters, and I used to organize one concert every year in Government College, and nothing more than that was allowed at Government College because concerts are obviously messy, and Government College had its own traditions and all everything. So I was somebody who brought back concerts to Government College after 20-year ban. Like Government College banned concerts in 1984. So in 2004, I went up to the vice chancellor at the time and requested him that we wanted to do a concert, and he was like, "It hasn't happened in 20 years. It was banned during the Jamiyat times in 80s when Jamiyat had a big hold in universities in Pakistan and particularly Lahore and Karachi. So so I requested him, and it was nice of him. Dr. Khalid Aftab, who was our vice chancellor at that time, he said that uh, how are you going to ensure that there's going to be discipline? So I was like, I somehow just committed that even a flower pot will not be broken. The gamle hote hain jo pade, I was like, "Ek
yeah.
gamla nahi tutega." This is what I said to him. And Allah was kind enough that, I was able to pull it off. So that was my first year. Then there was another year. And then on my last year, I wanted to bring an international act. And there was a band called Josh at the time, which was very popular. They had just collaborated with Nelly Furtado and did a few remixes for them. It was a Montreal-based band actually.
Mm-hmm,
They then I reached out to them through Shafkat Amanat Ali, who was a good friend. So he had just performed with them in Kolkata in a concert. So I he had mentioned in one of our conversations that I know those boys. So I just asked him that requested him if he can get in touch, and because remember it's 2007. Communication is still not that amazing, and you need to have a contact who you trust to connect you with artists and whatnot. So I connected with them. Long story short, I brought them to Pakistan. They did a concert in Government College, and just before leaving, they just offered me their management. They said that Pakistan is a great market for concerts, and we want to perform here more. This is our first time here, but we want to do more. So I was like, "How do you manage a band?" They're like, "Just don't worry about it. We have a website. We'll put your number on it and your email, and you'll start getting requests. And this is how it's gonna start." And that's how it started. And before I knew, I was deep into it. I went to a Euro tour with them in 2008 because Nelly Furtado was touring in Europe, and she wanted Josh to be on that tour performing remixes, the remixes they did with them. So it was a 35 concert tour of Europe. And this is how I literally got myself trained. My first exposure to this sort of work was international, and Nelly Furtado used to travel in her own plane with a crew of 35, and all of these things were very fascinating. But a very early exposure to all of this was amazing for me. And that's when then I kept doing other things, and then Ali Zafar came in the picture. I got an offer from him, and then I started going to India for Bollywood, and things kept rolling, and here we are today. I was able to produce Pakistan's first Netflix original.
good stuff. Great story. I enjoyed it. Really awesome. It's good to see that your journey has been very interesting and with, with all the chances that you got, you grabbed them.
The interesting aspect of this is that my family background had nothing to do with entertainment. My father is a doctor. I have three sisters who are all doctors. I have a brother who's a psychologist. Uh, so nobody was in entertainment and is not till even
Yeah.
now. So yeah, it was a battle I had to fight, and so I was somehow in my head, I I just thought that I cannot fail this. It takes you further, and then obviously, then success is your only option. Otherwise, there's so much pressure around you that if you've chosen a path of your own, then you can't fail. And I think this is what kept me going. And although I just kind of feel that I did not put a lot of undue pressure on myself. I just wanted to keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm not the kind of person who makes 5 year plans or 10 year plans or 15-year plans. And when I used to say this 10, 15 years ago, people used to find it very odd. But now the world is coming to terms with that it's okay if you don't have a 5 year plan. You can just, short term goals के साथ जिंदगी गुजर सकती है. एंड देन ऑब्वियसली अल्लाह ताला ने हमें एक जिंदगी दी है और हमें नहीं पता कि वो कब हमसे ये ले लेगा, तो इतने बड़े बड़े प्लान्स शायद नहीं बनाने चाहिए. यू कैन जस्ट keep making short term plans, keep doing good work, and live the life to its fullest. I think that's what my goal has been. I mean, I uh, my when I started working out, my initial excitement was that I'm going to travel the world, and I think that's I'm going to travel the world and not pay for it. So that was the initial excitement.
Yep.
And
Yep.
this is what I'm doing till now. It's 17 years. I've seen the whole world, and never a moment of regret in my whole career.
That is, it's funny you mentioned that because I was having a conversation with my DP, my cinematographer, and he and I have good friends too. We've known each other for a good 20 years. And we talk about the same thing that, aside from telling stories that we want to tell, the films that we want to make, which is something that we love, we enjoy, but it's also work. One of the biggest perks is we get to travel the world without
Yeah.
paying a penny for it, but instead getting paid for it, right? That's the
Yeah.
most incredible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then honestly, the travel I've done within the country is equally important for me what I've done outside Pakistan. The kind of places I've been to in Pakistan, you'll be amazed to hear. And you would probably love to do that at some point because, obviously, when I was managing Josh and then when I was managing Ali Zafar, we would do a lot of concerts and we would travel around for concerts. So I've been to places like Sakhar, Hyderabad, Dharki, Raimyar Khan, Quetta, Sibbi, Peshawar, obviously, Gujranwala, Gujarat, because we did this. There used to be it still is actually, there's a college called Punjab Group of Colleges in Punjab, and they have like 64 campuses all over Punjab. So every year they book one artist and they take them to 64 campuses and they perform there. So I did that once with Ali Zafar and once with Josh. Now imagine the amount of Punjab I've seen at that time. And then I've been to Gilgit Baltistan. I've been to Kashmir. So I've seen like Pakistan in depth, and I'm very glad that I've been able to get those opportunities where I've done this. Even have gone up to Gwadar, Turbat, the places you may not have heard the names of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So travel is not just going to all
Yeah.
fancy
Yeah.
the world. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
the travel I've gotten in within Pakistan because of my work opportunities. I'm so glad I got those.
What did you think of Sibbi and Gilgit and Quetta? I've been to Sib. I mean, I've traveled all over Pakistan too. This was a long time ago. But what did you think of Sibbi and
So,
um,
so I've been to Sibbi once, which is I think 2016 it was. So it's a very interesting story. You would love to hear that in
please?
Sibbi there's a mela that happens every year around February, around this
Mm,
time actually, somewhere around this time. And it has been happening since the 15th century. In Since
Wow.
the 15th century. So in those days when it used to happen, there used to be some sort of music that used to happen every year in the Sibbi Mela. And then there's a big fort there called Chakre Azam Fort. And
Mm-hmm.
this Mela happens around very close to that place. So it evolved from being a village thing to now in 2016 artists performing there on a stage, and the crowd is there and enjoying the musical performances. And they when they come to the music performances, they all bring their cattles, like their cow or their goat or their whatever cattle they have. So they brought those to the concert, and the artists were performing on stage while people were enjoying and having a great time in the off stage with their cattle around. So it was a very historical piece of knowledge I got when I went there. गिलगित
Let me.
बल्तिस्तान खूबसूरत ही बहुत है यार. गिलगित बल्तिस्तान से तो
Oh yeah,
different.
Gilgit. I spent maybe when I was like 5 to 7 years of age, and I still remember Gilgit very, very clearly. Skardu, Gilgit, Hunza. But going back to Sibbi, I had a question. So, and I don't really follow a lot of Pakistan other than cricket, just because I've been here for a long time. My family, they will watch Pakistani dramas. I used to be a huge fan of Pakistani dramas in the 80s and the 90s. I don't anymore because every time I pass by, all it is about is like family drama, family
Yeah, yeah.
politics, at least, right? So, one of the things that Coke Studio has done, it just shows all these cultures. Like, in Urdu, you say the word Akasi, right?
Hmm.
Um, why are we not in Pakistan, like the Sippy thing that you said, right? Like that could be like a documentary series. That could be a documentary. Like
100%.
why aren't those there's so many stories aside from your, household family drama, which is not life. That's not the only part of life. There's so much more. Why are they not being highlighted in Pakistan? Why are they not being shown? Because arts is supposed to do that.
There's a very sad response to what you have just asked, and that is, if you ask this to any director, producer, or a TV channel, they will say this is what people see.
Yeah,
And
no,
this is how they get away with this, that this is what they want to see. That's why we don't make anything else. But it's the other way around.
it
Show them
is.
better things, and they will learn to watch better things. You
The
show
way, yeah, go on.
you show them what's convenient for you. These daily life stories where Saas is killing the Bahu and Bahu is
Yeah.
killing the Saas, and they set each other on fire, stuff like that. This is what they think, and they say that this is what people want to watch. That's not true. I don't watch dramas because I don't want to watch this. If there's something good that comes up, I will watch it. अगर कुछ अच्छा आएगा तो जरूर देखूंगा, but नहीं आ रहा तो नहीं देख रहा. But I'm a very, very, very small percentage of this population. So maybe there are people who want to watch those dramas, but enhance their taste, make it better. They will watch other stuff too.
I respectfully disagree because I think there's a bigger percentage of population out there in every part of the world who are craving for the keyword great stories with great characters. It doesn't matter where they come from. As long as you have a strong story, right? One of
Yeah.
the things is like if you look at Hollywood, if you look at India, if you look at Pakistan, Pakistan doesn't have the special effects that Hollywood does, but they show the glamorous life, right? Like, big house, okay, everybody's like fully dressed and all that stuff. India is in a similar way, like, big location, dance performances and everything. But nobody remembers that stuff. What kind of stuff do you remember? Like I'll tell you, right? Khuda ke liye, right? Shoaib Mansoor, Bol. You remember movies like Godfather, Jurassic Park, like stuff like that has strong story and characters. They were
Yeah.
all there. These are all different films. Nobody touches them, right? And why? Because audience doesn't know what they want until you introduce them to what they want. And if the story and the characters are good,
Yeah.
it'll hit.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, this brings us back to India versus Pakistan, the greatest rivalry. I mean, that's the story. When we started discussing this project, the whole idea was that this needs to be told to the world that this is not just the biggest rivalry in the cricketing world. This is the biggest sporting rivalry in the world. You have your Rafa Nadal versus Roger Federer. You have your Manchester United versus Chelsea and all of those. But I personally feel this is bigger than all of that. The eyeballs this attracts, it's unmatchable. You can't compare it with anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you know, watch cricket. I don't watch the series and stuff, but just maybe tournaments. But I'll watch Pakistan games. But the one that I would like literally sit down and not do anything else is India and Pakistan. And I mean, I cheer for, I admire Indian players a lot, like Virat Kohli, and there's some great talent there. And sometimes I feel for their when they're getting beaten, hit, but I'm cheering for my team, and it's definitely the biggest, I think, the sporting event that nobody talks about. And I'm so glad that you guys made the series on it, even though it was kind of like, you know most of the stuff that I knew at least beforehand, but still just to see it in a series for the world to experience is amazing, and I'm glad that you guys did. And I hope there's more cricket series being worked on. I was actually telling Stuart,
Imagine
I'm
this.
I
The saddest thing is that it's been 17 years India and Pakistan have not played a test match. It's something that needs to be thought about. We only play each other in global tournaments. Other than that, there's no bilateral series, and there hasn't been a test match in 17 years. That's something I've grown up watching India versus Pakistan. Even then, there used to be big breaks in Test cricket. Pakistan and India from 1978, from 1989 to 99, for 10 years they did not play Test cricket, and then
yep, I
Pakistan
remember.
went on to play an amazing series, which was the birth of Shoaib Akhtar, 99. Then India came to Pakistan after what, 15 years in 2004, which is the series we covered in the documentary. And then 2006 was an amazing series where Muhammad Asif was born on that Karachi wicket, which was a surprisingly a wicket where Irfan
The
Pathan
flat
started the
pitch,
match.
yeah,
Irfan Pathan started the match with 3 wickets, and then
I
Asif
remember that.
took over. And then Pakistan went back to India in 2007 and played a Test series and ODIs. So people were people thought that back-to-back series is going to take the interest away from that. No, every time Pakistan would play India, there was interest, there were eyeballs, and now look at this, 17 years we haven't played in whites with each other.
Yeah, no, I agree, but um, it's interesting because I mean there's so much politics that we can dive into, but I mean the series kind of touches upon that anyway, so I let people see that. Uh, let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, and please tell me right away if it's something too much. Um, you talked about your sisters being doctors, your brother being a psychologist, and being a South Asian household coming into the arts, and obviously there was resistance, to some extent, if not a lot. What what how did you cultivate your way through that, trying to deal with all that pressure? And if there was, I mean, in some families there's a lot, in some families there's not. So it's just minimal. So what was that like?
Oh, I think, as I told you before, my way of dealing with it was that in my mind somewhere, I had just decided that this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get success in this, and that's going to be my only answer. That's the time when my friends were doing day jobs, going to the offices, or looking for opportunities outside Pakistan and moving abroad, while I was struggling with you know struggling as a manager of a music band. That's how I started. I was just managing the band Josh, and that was uh it wasn't a very household name, the band, at that time. It was popular, but it was not a household name where if you tell somebody that this is what I do, and they would know. And with family, and then with relatives, and the kind of questions I used to face
Like
were,
what? Like what? Like what?
uh, believe it or not, until last year, my one of my relatives, my father's brother, he uh, every time he has met me in the last 17 years, he always used to ask me in Punjabi, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਤੱਕ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਕੀ ਹੋ. Like, I don't know if you understand Punjabi or not.
I understand it. I understand it.
Yeah. So after 17 years, last year, when he said this, I said to him, I responded and I said, uh, Chacha, this is not my problem now. This is your problem. This was my response. And I don't think it was a rude response, but every time he used to ask, I used to explain, मैं ये करता हूँ, मैं ये करता हूँ, मैं ये करता हूँ. But last year, when this happened, I was kind of done with it. So when he asked me this, then I said, this is actually not my problem. This is your problem that you don't know. Go ask your kids who are young. They will know what I do, because what I do is pretty glamorous. And your kids are my fans, like my cousins. They all look up to me because of the kind of work I do, because they are all involved in family business and some sort of other thing, which for a lot of them is boring now. You go to an office every day, you do morning to evening, you come back. So they kind of all look up to me because I have this life where I travel, where I work with celebrities. If I'm not working with celebrities, I'm meeting other celebrities. If I've met a Shah Rukh Khan, or if I've met an Akshay Kumar, or if I've met a Jason Derulo, or Shaggy, I've met all these people in different during different projects. Uh, so that's where I kind of said that, go ask your kids what I do. They will probably tell you. It was like that. But I think I've dealt with all of this with a lot of patience over the years. Now I've started being a little, because I think I've worked really hard for all these years to be where I am today. So now I kind of, my responses may sometimes be not very polite, but all my initial years, I was just वो बोलते हैं ना horse vision कि यूं रख
Yep.
के मैं अपना काम कर रहा हूँ. That
Yeah.
was it. That kept me going. There were times I was being told that you haven't done anything, your friends are doing this, your other people are doing this. I was like, it's okay. It will come for me as well. And I just have to keep doing what I do. That's it.
It's one thing you said that I was talking to somebody else about this recently. I think people in our field, we have this path that, everybody thinks that where you are today is like a snap, right? Like only we know about the struggles that we went through. Everybody goes through struggles in life, everybody. When people are enjoying at the time when you are killing yourself trying to be somebody or trying to, the key is the long-term goal, right? Like now what you just said, I say the exact same thing. Like the things that people used to make, comments about me, what I was doing, I'm sure, like I said to yourself too, is that those same people, which I have not been in touch with, I would see them on my social media. Oh, it's great to see that you're still doing the same thing 30 years, and I could see, feel in this post, the guys they're stuck in 9 to 5 job and they can't stand it. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
key.
yeah.
Like if you want to have that long term, like you have to suffer first, or you can enjoy it first and then suffer later.
Just coming back to what you were just saying, I would like to correct you here that when you say that while we were out there killing ourselves and they were enjoying, I would say that I was enjoying every moment of what I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
I
No,
was
no, no.
not
So
making a lot of money,
no, no,
but
no, no, no. I know. When I say
yeah,
killing ourselves, I obviously if you won't be killing yourself, you have to enjoy it. Like that's the way you look at it. But we're
that's the
working
only
hard.
way that's what keeps you going.
What I meant was like we're not going to the parties, we're not going hanging out with friends. We're like that's what I meant, right? Like you have to enjoy what you do, otherwise it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah. So what I was trying to explain is that the kind of work I had, I was traveling all the time. I was meeting new people. I was out partying as well, to be very honest. If I'm traveling to as a 25-year-old, if I'm traveling to Dubai and London and New York for concerts, of course I'm having a good time. I mean, obviously there's nothing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
hide
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Uh, I may not have been making good money at that time, which my other friends were making, but I think they were out there killing themselves. I was not. I was having a great time, and in the process I was growing as well with the hope that I will make it. While at it, I was having a blast. It was
yeah, yeah. No, no, I get it, man. I get it. I think it's really important to uh I tell this to my kids too. It's like I don't care what you do, just love what you do because everything else will automatically become easy for you and the money will come in anyways. It's just the way it
yeah,
is, right?
yeah.
It's just because you're chasing money, you're gonna get money for a limited amount of time and then you're gonna be unhappy. So which life do you want to have? Right?
I
It's
think
about
at
money.
a very young age, probably 2008 or 9, like maybe 2 years into my career, I read somewhere a quote that if you give 20,000 hours to something, you're bound to get success in it. So that also kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, yeah.
I made those calculations, how many are 20,000 hours and how long it's going to be. But I think it's still in my head what I read somewhere at that time, and I kind of started focusing on the fact that okay, this much I'm gonna give to this whatever I want to do in life. I'm gonna give 20,000 hours to this, and it kind of worked. And some things just stay with you. This is one of those things which I read and it stayed with me.
Yeah, that's true. What's one part of you? I mean, you were in the world, in the film world, in the entertainment world, there's a lot of it's a lot of PR. You have to be in a certain way. You have to present yourself in a certain way. For the lack of better word, I'm not suggesting you, but just in the field, sometimes you have to be not real. A lot of people are not real, right? But some people are. Like for example, Shoaib Akhtar, at least from what I can gather, he seems pretty raw as it is. What you see is what you get. Um, how do you, what's the one thing from that world that's out there that, let's call it, it's not real because everybody is sort of in it for themselves, versus the world that kind of the opposite world, which could be like the calmness, the reality. What is that world like for you? Like, what keeps you grounded and keeps you simple, for the lack of better word? Is it your family? Is it your
Um,
friends? Is
I think I would have a very simple answer to this. I am not somebody who gets recognized on the street, you know. I So that's what keeps me grounded. I see celebrities who get recognized on the street. They are the ones who a lot of times become stubborn, or sometimes they need to make sure that they stay grounded in some way or the other, because and I've been around those people, but I haven't been that person. I've traveled the world with Ali Zafar. I've traveled the world with Shoaib Akhtar. I've been around Wasim Akram, Atif Aslam, all these Fawad Khan, for that matter, like all these people, I have worked with them in some capacity or the other, either long term or just for a short project. So I've seen how things happen with them in terms of fan moments. So obviously, I'm not somebody who comes on screen. So I don't get recognized on the street. So I think that is something which अभी मैं अगर नीचे अंडे ब्रेड लेने चले जाऊंगा तो मुझे कोई पहचानेगा नहीं, तो
no, no,
it's
no.
fine.
I know that, but what I meant was is that, you know, like okay, so I don't get starstruck, right? I do not get starstruck. I couldn't care less who it is. It just doesn't get to me. Maybe because I'm immune to it, just like you are.
But
But
probably now, not in the beginning. I used to get starstruck in the beginning. The first time I saw Akshay Kumar, I was starstruck. I was 2.5 years into my career. I saw Akshay Kumar. That was my first big Bollywood celebrity exposure, and I couldn't move. I was like, wow, that is when I first saw Shah Rukh Khan for first, second year in my career, third year. I got excited. When I first saw Nelly Furtado, I got excited. So yeah, that was the time. But obviously now I'm immune to it. I've worked with so many of them. I've been around so many of them. A lot of them are my friends. So now even a big Hollywood celebrity even comes in front of me, I don't get excited like that. Yeah.
but how do you? So okay, so I know the answer, but I'm just asking for the audience, is that how do you, aside from not being recognized, right? Like sometimes, even people in our age, small percentage, it gets things to people's head, right? It's just the
Yeah.
reality. Sometimes people, it gets to your head. What has there been ever a time with you in the last 5 years or 2 years where even like for a slightest of second where you go into that world and then you pull yourself out of it? Like, has that ever happened?
Uh, Probably it does happen sometimes, and honestly, it happens when sometimes you, as a celebrity manager, sometimes you get those calls which are very, unnecessary, and they have nothing to do with your work. So it kind of annoys you that why is this person calling me? A random
Like,
person will call.
like what? If you don't mind,
Like a person
without
would
naming
call
names.
and yeah, a person would call and say that I'm a fast bowler. I want to meet Shoaib Akhtar. Please make sure that
Oh,
I meet him. मैंने मिलना है, मैंने मिलना है. They would call 3 times a day. So that's when, first used to get a little jittery on these things, but then kind of started just blocking. And I was like, I don't have to be rude with them. I could just, after one call, I can just tell them it's not happening or it's not possible. And then after the call, I would just block them. I have a block list of, I don't know, 1,200 people on my phone, because things used to happen when I was working with Ali Zafar. There were a lot of fan calls. So yes, I sometimes would get rude because uh, they're not my fans. They're fans of a certain celebrity, and they want me to facilitate a random meetup, and I would feel that this is a waste of my time. So sometimes I would get rude, but then I would tell myself that I shouldn't be doing this. Or sometimes work opportunities which are not worth my time, I feel. I sometimes used to deal with them not in a nice way, but then I realized that that person, उसकी कैपेसिटी इतनी है, उसने सोच लिया कि मुझे शोएब अख्तर चाहिए तो कोई बात नहीं, मैं नहीं दे सकता उतने पैसों में, तो मैं उसको प्यार से मना कर सकता हूँ rather than being rude about it, that why did you even call me, that sort of thing. So I think it's a process. Some days you have that head, and then most days I think I handle it in a better way.
I can see why you are managing Shoaib Akhtar because you have a similar personality. um, what's what do you want to do that's not done? It doesn't have to be professional. It can be personal. Or, I don't like to go into personal stuff, but if you want to share, feel free to.
As I said, I'm not that much of a planner.
No,
I
no, no, not planning. I know that. But what is one thing in life that you want to do that you haven't done? It's not about tomorrow. It's not about 10 years from now. It could be tomorrow.
I just don't think that way. I don't operate that way. I see life as it comes, and I have very short-term goals. Yeah, I have to go there. I have to see this place. I have to, like, everywhere in the world I go, I have friends in different cities now. So I go there and I make sure that I meet my friends. So there's nothing, or maybe there are things which I want to do and they're not coming in my head right now, because obviously you've just asked me something and I haven't thought about it, but I'm sure
It's
there are.
okay.
There are, yeah.
What excites you besides work? What do you do? Like, do you read? Food?
I used to read a lot. I kind of stopped that after I got married. I think I used to have. So by the way, I got married a little late in my life. I got married at 37. So
It's okay.
I had, I was working before that. I wanted to reach certain goals, certain financial goals, certain household goals that I wanted to achieve before I get married. So I got married a little late. That also kind of made me very used to single life. And by single life, I meant that I was not married. I was dating or I was not dating, but I was, going through that process. So I used to get time to watch movies. I used to get time to read. Even now, I read during flights. I love those long 16-hour flights from Dubai to Dallas or Dubai to Toronto. I have one rule in my life which I have given myself: never connect to Wi-Fi when you're on a flight. So I will never connect to the rest of the world when I'm on a flight. So I would either read, I would watch a movie, That's my time when and then other than that, I just love to spend time with my family. I have a 2-year-old who just walked in, who just walked in while we were talking. So yeah, that is him. And
Assalamualaikum.
I may not be able to read a lot now, but because well, whatever time I have other than work, that is for him and his mother. Yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Ashmir, and he is going to be turning 2 next month.
MashaAllah. That's
Yeah.
great. That's good. It's amazing what kids do to you. I mean, I was talking to you for the last, what, 45 minutes, and your persona completely changed as soon as he walked in.
Yeah.
You became, like a father. Obviously, it's a natural thing. We all go through that. I think I've done that many, many times too. That's amazing, man. Are you excited about um, the the thing? Okay, so let me ask you this. So Netflix in India has become really, really big, right? And being in Toronto, I talked to a few directors, and being in States as well. Sometimes it's like Netflix is now just there's this market that's very hungry, which is Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to see that because I mean I can think of so many stories that you can do, not
Just
just
hold
necessarily
on for a
drama.
second. Let me
Yeah,
just.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, you were talking about how Pakistan hasn't been able to do a lot of
yeah.
Netflix.
Do you think that's gonna happen soon? Because I think it's absolutely necessary for arts and culture change the world, right? Like it changes the perception of the people. Do
Yeah.
you see that happening being in the industry in Pakistan?
Particularly in terms of Netflix, you were asking?
In anything, streaming platform, Amazon, Netflix,
Uh,
Hulu, Disney.
a s- an honest answer would be probably no. And the reason we have proved with this documentary that technicalities is not the reason. A lot of people thought that technical aspect of things is a problem from Pakistan. No, we were able to pull off everything we wanted. Everything they wanted, to be very honest, like what sort of equipment they wanted. Everything was sorted from sound to light to drones to the kind of travel. They even have the specific requirement that which type of vans you have to put the equipment in, like even to that level, there's
Yeah.
micromanagement. So uh, we were able to do all of that, and we shot in Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, Sialkot. So like 4 cities in Pakistan we shot. So we were able to do everything. So yeah, technical side is not the problem. Before that, people used to think that, oh, maybe there are technical hindrances in Pakistan. No, that's not the case. Problem is, again, what we spoke a little while ago, good stories. The stuff Pakistan is watching, that's not what's going to go on Netflix, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what people think is that, and there are two sides to it. One is what I just told you, that people think that we can't fulfill technical requirements, and the other thing they think is that because Netflix for the region is controlled by Netflix India, they say no to everything that comes from Pakistan.
Yeah.
No, buddy, they're not good. The good things are not coming from Pakistan. That is why they haven't been accepted. This is there is one thing which is coming now, which you may have heard about, a web series by Hum that has also been approved by Netflix. So it is being shot right now. So it must be good that they've approved it, and it will hopefully come very soon. So if once in a while somebody will come up with something like this, uh, the doors are open, but you got to improve what you do.
100%. 100%. Anything exciting coming up besides Champions Trophy and the series that you're looking forward to? I know you don't look at future goals. I'm just talking about
No,
anything that you.
there's another another docu series we're working on.
Yeah,
We can't
that's
reveal
fine.
anything about it, but it's again, it's also another India Pakistan collaborative thing. but it's not cricket related, but it is also something which is being worked upon. And other than that, obviously the management stuff is going on, so that keeps me very busy. I was just at in Dubai for the ILT20, the Dubai's IPL. So I was also doing the social media content for the league. My team was working on it, so I was there for the whole month. All the social media stuff that was happening for the league was being done. Uh, Other than that, events keep coming up, some sort of travel keep happening. So bunch of things for the rest of the year are coming. In terms of production work, commercials obviously keep coming up. A lot of times I'm not even on set now. My company is working on that. There are things which are being shot, but I'm not there personally. So that's on auto. The commercial, you know how commercial world works.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
demand and you have to fulfill. There's nothing creative input you can put out there, and if you try to put that in the creative input, you're being told off. You're being told,
Yeah.
"नहीं, हमें जो चाहिए वो चाहिए वो
It's
please."
that's the thing with agencies, right? And like big clients is because there will be like five people from the company, five people from, and everybody has their input, and it just,
And they will
um,
all travel to Thailand and Istanbul for no
yeah,
reason.
for no, well, to travel. That's the only reason they would
Yeah.
travel for.
Uh,
Yeah. And how does that sort of affect your family life? I'm being, traveling, and because I've been through that, and I know how that is. How do you manage that?
Uh, I manage it in a way where I bribe them a lot of times with when my work finishes, they join me at a certain destination. And this is not a bribe, to be very honest. I love to have them around. That's the
The
there's some sort
truth
of
came
guilt
out. The truth
that
came out.
there's some sort of guilt also in you when
Yeah.
you're away. So just like I was in Dubai for the whole month, so they joined me for 10 days in between. I flew them in. My wife and my son, they both came. They were there for 10 days. But I told them that I will be working, so I will probably be away all day, but there will be off days in between, and we'll have fun. And this is how we in the last summer, I had a US Canada tour with Shoaib of 8 cities. So what I did was that when I finished the 8 cities, my last city was Miami. So Shoaib went back to Pakistan, and I asked my wife and my son to join. So they came to Miami. From Miami, we went to Toronto, then went to Montreal, did some friends, we met some friends, did a bunch of touristy things, came back. Just similarly, last year I had something in Malaysia going on. So Singapore, I was working with Meta on a project, so I there was a training for which I had to go to Singapore. So I took them along for 7 days. So this is how it kind of works. But I don't know if it covers for the time I'm away, but it gives us all some really good times, and that's what matters. I mean, my son is 2 years old. Even a lot of things he does right now, he will probably not remember those because he's still very young. But my wife and I will remember that, and I think that's what matters. So we travel a lot as a family, and that's how I kind of compensate.
Amazing, man. That's awesome. Well, really, it's been really wonderful chatting with you. I got to know a little bit about you as a person, and I appreciate your rawness because I truly believe if everybody in the world was blunt and straightforward, we won't have any problems, right? And
Yeah.
so, thank you so
I
much
think
for
that's
that.
what I think the whole idea of podcasts should be that the people
Yeah,
should
yeah,
be,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the more they're happening now, I feel that the more they're becoming like a putting up an act type of a thing, which should not be the case. For that, the old school interviews are there. Go and do your acting in those old interviews, I guess.
Yeah, no, I,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think one of the reasons I have sort of gotten into this, there's a history behind it, but I've made feature documentaries, so I've questioned a lot of people. And whenever I do a podcast with like over 200 episodes now, I never have any questions prepared. I just watch the movie or the series or read the book, and I just dive right into it because I don't want to have any preconceived notions and idea. It just needs to come organically. And I enjoy it, and I think my guests enjoy it, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
You're talking about podcasts. I was last year. I was asked to do a TED talk in one of the universities.
Mm.
I'll send you the link for that as well when you have
Sure,
some
would love
time.
to.
I literally went unprepared. And TED Talk is like it's a monologue. You're
Scripted.
not
It's unscripted,
yeah,
yeah.
you're not getting any questions or any so people go very prepared. I literally went there and went there unprepared, and one line which I told you as well, that, and it was a university, obviously young people were there. That one line which I said, that it's okay not to have a plan, the kids were roaring with and clapping, because I think this is what, at the age of 20, we, or 18 or 17, we put a lot of pressure on children, and that's not how it should be. And that's what I told them. It's okay not to have a plan. The vice chancellor of the university was not very happy with what I
Of
said,
course not. Of course not.
but the children were clapping and laughing, and they said this is what we wanted to hear. So I wish somebody told me at that time, because I did take a lot of pressure in my younger days sometimes, to because my whole family wanted me to be a doctor, and it was like an understood thing that I will be a doctor. And I think that is why I did not become a doctor, because I was like, जो मेरे दिमाग में बिठा दिया है वो तो नहीं अब मैंने करना. So I think it's kind of personality में भी होता है लोगों की कि यार ये तो अब मैंने नहीं करना, कुछ और कर लूंगा, ये नहीं
Yeah,
करूँ.
yeah, yeah. And it's also about having your own voice, and it's also about, but it's interesting you mentioned that. I mean, I know I said we're going to wrap it up, but I just want to ask you what. So you were talking about not having a plan, right? Which I agree with. And you said you wish somebody had told you all these things when you were young.
Yeah.
But if you were told all that stuff, would you be where you are today?
Oh, that's a very tricky question. I don't know. I don't know if I
Right?
would
See,
be able to
I,
answer
I
that question.
I I know you don't, because I know that it's one of those things, right? It's about time, right? Like, how do we know what we action? Like, I am a firm believer that if I move my finger like this versus this, it can alter everything in my life. Like, that's just how I look at life in every single way.
Yeah.
So I think it's important about this past thing for me personally. It's like, I'm so glad that I messed up so many times. I'm so glad I failed so many times, because I
And
wouldn't be
learn
who
from
I am.
that. Yeah.
I wouldn't be who I am today in every which way.
I think you're right, and I may be wrong in saying this what I said, because even when we were younger, I'm sure a lot of people tried to tell us a lot of things. We were probably not ready to listen. Just how I see youngsters now, they're probably the same. We were all probably the same way,
Yeah.
but they have this advantage now of having the world out there on this social media
Yep.
and this. We It was just the beginning of what all of this, when I was in university. So they have access, but I feel that they will still learn the way we learned, because we had some sort of access as well. We had people who had done good things. We could have sat with them and chatted with them, to which I did as well, to an extent. I remember one particular professor in my university who was very, very ahead of his time. So I used to He used to teach us political science. One of the subjects I studied was
Mm.
political science. So a lot of times he would ask me that, why do you bunk classes? And I would say that I get really bored, because I feel that I'm not learning anything in the class. Everything I'm learning is not in the class. And he's like, you're right, बिल्कुल तुम सही कह रहे हो. तुम sometimes come to my office and chill with me after class. And that's what I started doing. And uh, I learned so many things from him, that a lot of those things I apply still in my life. And I still, whenever I get a chance and I go see him, I still meet him. I'm in touch with him. And he was a very ahead of time liberal professor I had, and I'm very glad I met him at that point, because there were so many others as well at that time which I don't want to see anymore. you know so yeah, it's a process, and I think we will all find a way to get wherever we want to.
That's true. That's 100% true. Well, man, it's been amazing chatting with you. I really appreciate your time and your openness, and we talked less about India versus Pakistan, the greatest rivalry, which is okay because people can see it and on Netflix and figure out themselves. I think it's going to be
I mean,
enjoy.
if you want to put a few things related to the documentary, which you want to put in short clips, we can talk about it in 5-10 minutes. Where if there's any particular scene you want to discuss, or if any particular interview you want to discuss, you can just
Honestly, if you want to, like, let me think. So we never cut this podcast. It's very raw. So let me ask you, okay, so tell me any behind the scene interesting story with either Javed Miandad, Inzamam ul Haq, Shoaib Akhtar, or anybody else. I think
most
those were, and
interesting
Ramiz Raja.
the most interesting story from India versus Pakistan is that I have a broken finger from this documentary, which will stay with me for life. You can actually see if
Yeah, yeah,
possible.
I can see it. I
So
can see it.
we were in Lahore shooting a sequence in government college of we were trying to show first class cricket being played. So we were just shooting that in a cricket ground. So camera setup होने में थोड़ा time लग रहा था, चीजें हो रही थी. So there were cricket balls there. So we started playing catching, you know. अब वो catching के बीच में I got super excited and started doing the very high catches कि अब मैं
Yeah,
तो
yeah,
County Roads बनूंगा. So in that process, one of those catches that came and landed right on my finger, and I broke my finger. So and just because there were such busy days, I did not really address it properly. I was just icing it or just putting it in water, and
yeah,
so I should have put something on it like a brace or something.
yeah.
वो तो जो whatever was broken वो टेढ़ा में ही जुड़ गया. So अब वो अभी ऐसे ही चल रहा. So that's a memory which will stay with me. Other than that, there's a fire sequence we shot in which we had a body double for Shoaib Akhtar. Shoaib bhai came and he said मुझे
Oh,
नहीं चाहिए body.
right. Yeah, yeah.
He said मुझे body double नहीं चाहिए. I'm going to do it myself. And I was
Of
like,
course.
there's a cricket pitch on fire, and it's 48 degrees. It's June. We were shooting in June. So he's like, नहीं, मैं खुद करूँगा. So that obviously, the behind the scenes from that, we have some footage which we will. So we are, by the way, gathering behind the scenes एक पूरा making of India versus
The
Pakistan,
documentary, yeah.
which will be
Yeah.
out. So we will show some stuff in that. So yeah, that fire sequence. And then the most memorable is interviewing Javed Miandad, the legendary Javed Miandad. But it brings a smile on my face when I talk about him because
Well, look at me.
just the way he talks, just the way he is. We were in his house. He was very hospitable, and it was amazing because Stewart was not able to communicate with Javed. Right? That
Oh,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
not happening. So
I can see that happening for sure, how
yeah,
that unfolded.
that was not happening. So I was like, Stu, just chill. I will deal with this. So I did all the questions. I did because there was a lot of repetition. Javed Bhai would forget things in between as well. He had a bit of a health concern going on at that time as well. So his memory was not that amazing. So it was it was hard work, but I was feeling very honored that I'm able to do that. So Javed Bhai was amazing. इंजी भाई जिंजी भाई उनके अपने होते हैं he in between couple of questions में he got angry and if you notice there's one question where uh, which obviously questions are not featured in the documentary but the question
Yeah.
was that in the 2004 series you had the fastest bowler in the world and you ended up making dead pitches where Shoaib Akhtar and Sami they both really struggled so he kind of said, "Stop the shoot right now." So he stopped. He's like, "Why are you asking me this? I was the captain. I can make whatever I want to." So then I was like, "Whichever way you want to answer it, even if you want to say this, I am the captain. I could do whatever. Do it, but don't stop the
Say
shoot.
something, yeah, yeah.
Say something." But yeah, so Inzi Bhai has sometimes gets angry. He has this, he's an amazing character as well. Uh, Ramiz was a lot of fun to interview. He was the PCB chairman at the time, so we
Yeah.
shot him at the Gaddafi Stadium. Everything, every moment, every single day of this shoot was a memory, and it will always stay with me. Just like I told you that Tifa in Trouble is one part of my life, which when you're in a project, you're kind of living that project. So Tifa in Trouble is one project which I kind of lived for those 2 years, and then India versus Pakistan, I lived for these 2 years when I worked on that.
It's one of the things I will say, so, I haven't been back to Pakistan in 35 years, right?
Oh,
And
wow. You haven't
and
visited
one
even.
I we don't have any family or anybody. I've always wanted to, but I think after probably 2007, I just kind of lost. It had been like 17 years, and I just kind of didn't have any interest going back. I do now, but one thing, the closest I came was I was in India in 2013 for 3 weeks, and we passed the 40 kilometers away from Amritsar, the Wagah, was it Wagah border,
That's the
right?
closest
Yeah,
you've been. Yeah,
yeah,
Wagah.
yeah,
By the way,
and
talking about Wagah border, we shot at Wagah border. You must have
yeah,
seen. Oh,
yeah.
amazing experience shooting at Wagah border. Continue,
I
please.
Yeah, so I one thing that really touched me in the series was not the cricket, was not the food, was not the locals. There were certain shots of Lahore and certain parts from the above, and I had not seen those before. I'm sure they're out there, and I had not seen those before. My dad was in the army in Pakistan. He served 30 years. So we were posted from Gilgit to different cities, to Quetta, to Mardan, to Multan, and all those places. And we were kind of more in the army side of things. So we used to see the outside world, but not, maybe not that much. And I was really young when I left. But through watching the series, some of the shots and some of the interaction, especially Shoaib Akhtar interaction with that vendor, was
Yes.
very powerful. Was very powerful. I thought that was really well executed. So it kind of made me a little nostalgic, and I became a little bit more aware of certain things that I didn't know about. But I just wanted to make a comment on that. That it was just really, really pulled me
I think
in that
one of
sense.
the things which I would probably regret, and I don't like to regret in life. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that at another point. Maybe, hopefully, if we make a sequel to this or we make something on those lines. But not being able to, I don't think at this stage in Pakistan, a lot of people will even talk about it. But not being able to interview Imran Khan for this was something I would definitely regret. And we literally had a time and schedule sorted with him, and then something unfortunate happened with him at that time, which because of which we couldn't interview him. But we literally had like time and place and everything sorted to interview him for this, but we were not able to. So hopefully, at some point in future, my life would have been complete if I was able to do that, because Javed Miadad, Inzamamul Haq, these were my childhood heroes. Shoaib Akhtar, and so Imran Khan, of course, tops that list. So if I was able to do that, that would have been amazing. But hopefully, at some point in future.
Inshallah. You mentioned about Shoaib Akhtar. One thing I remember the way when I think about Shoaib Akhtar, there's only one thing that I think of, and I don't know why it's in my memory. 1999 World Cup, which what happened in the final, which I remember I was like bawling my eyes out. Um, there was a match with Australia before, which we won. There was a delivery that I bowled, which came in almost like a half volley or Yorker on the off stump, and it went in really quickly. I think either it was a Ricky Ponting or Steve Waugh.
Steve Waugh.
I don't remember.
Steve Waugh.
That's how I know Shoaib. Like when I think of Shoaib Akhtar, that's what I remember. I don't remember Tendulkar's ball. I don't remember Sehwag or anybody. That's the delivery I remember, and I think that delivery, the way it came in, and he was at its peak. He was like really what 20, 22 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
That's one of the best deliveries, and nobody talks about that. In my view, that is his best delivery, in the context of the tournament and talking
Honestly,
about it.
I feel so honored that I work with Shoaib Akhtar. He is one gem of a person. He has fought all his life where people he's always been painted in bad light in his playing career, and not anymore. I think because of obviously YouTube and a lot of stuff he has done with, he's in public communication now. So I think people get a chance to know him more now. So people love him. But in those times when there was no social media and there was only like conventional media and newspapers, and just because they were not able to get their way with Shoaib, if somebody wanted an interview and he did not give, or if somebody wanted a certain thing from him and he did not give, and they would just write things about him. Uh, just like in the documentary, we featured that when after the last test match, Inzamam said that Shoaib was faking an injury,
Mm.
and then he proved it that he was injured. And he's like, not just one rib, I had three broken ribs, and it was not. And then I spoke to Javed Bhai on this, and Javed Bhai kind of, he was like that. I knew at that time that he is actually injured, and Inzamam is wrong there. But I also stayed quiet on it, and I'm embarrassed for that right now. So it was, so Shoaib was, he was a very honest, blunt person all his life, and he would never fake an injury to skip a match. He loved the country all his life. His patriotism was another level. But the kind of stories, on the lighter note, the kind of story, this Kolkata story, where before the match, 2 3 days ago, they were all hanging out and people were taking pictures with Afridi and Azhar Mahmood and Saklan, and one of the kids asked Shoaib that, who are you and why are you with them? And he was like, Jaan jaoge, you'll know who I am. And
Yeah.
in 2 days' time, these are real stories, because it's not like he's making these up. I've heard these stories from other cricketers who were there. Saklan Mushtaq told me this story. Mohammad Yusuf was there. He told me this story. He's like, exactly ऐसे हुआ था कि बच्चों ने पूछा कि आप कौन है और आप क्यों घूम रहे हैं क्रिकेटर्स के साथ. So he was like, कि तुम लोगों को पता चल जाएगा 2 दिनों के अंदर कि मैं कौन हूँ. So similarly, there's another beautiful story which I know from Zahir Abbas. Zahir Abbas, the legendary Pakistani
Mm.
batsman. So Zahir Abbas was doing PIA trials back in the day, and fast bowlers के trial ले रहे थे. So about Shoaib said कि 1,500 kids showed up there for fast bowling trials. So he was like that. I knew that मेरी तो बारी नहीं आएगी bowling करने की. So he started running in that ground, and he's like, I just kept running, kept running, kept running. When Zahir Abbas said कि ये कौन पागल है, इसको बुलाओ इधर, क्या कौन है ये? And when he came, he said, तुम कौन हो और क्या कर रहे हो? Shoaib said, मैं दुनिया का सबसे तेज bowler. And this is what Zahir Bhai told me this. Shoaib didn't tell me. Zahir Bhai said that this is what he said at that time, कि मैं दुनिया का सबसे तेज bowler हूँ. So look at the confidence at that age, and with the kind of humble background he had, there's nothing he had, but he just had confidence. Just similarly, I just met Sabah Kareem and Saurav Ganguly in Dubai. So they told me this story. These are the things Shoaib doesn't tell me. They told me that in '96 there was an A team tour to Sharjah, where India A team and Pakistan A team was playing. Shoaib was not being given a match. Shoaib did not play a single match. So he was like, मैं कभी pool पे बैठ जाता था जाके Indian players के साथ, कभी मैं dinner उनके साथ कर लेता था. And Ganguly said to me, he was like, ये उस वक्त बोलता था कि ये मुझे खिला नहीं रहे, पागल है, इनको पता नहीं है मैं दुनिया का सबसे तेज bowler हूँ. So these
Wow.
these stories are very, very fascinating, and especially when you hear it from other people, not from him.
That's amazing. That shows a sign of humbleness and groundedness. I mean, I know he comes across sometimes as very arrogant and, cocky type of personality, but it's just him being blunt and goes back to what I was saying, that we live in such a world where honesty and bluntness is always perceived as the
Yeah.
wrong thing, right? So, but yeah, no, man, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for your time, for making this series. Loved it, enjoyed it. Looking forward to more stuff from you guys in the future and everything. And it's been a pleasure.
Definitely. And you're in Canada, right?
I'm in Toronto, yeah.
In Toronto. So hopefully, when I'm in Toronto next, we should do this in person. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more we would still have to talk about.
Absolutely, would love to. Thank you so much.